Hi, this is Craig from Compos, and this is the SJX boat. Today we're going to go over the basic break-in procedure, maintenance, winterization, and just try and get you familiar with the different components on the boat and how to take care of it. Pretty basic stuff. It's in the owner's and service manual, but it's always good to be able to point and look at the different components. So you can always refer to this video after you get the boat on the water if you have any questions, or feel free to call us at 1-800-478-7669. Okay, let's get started. Your boat came with a Mercury operator's manual for the V6 Optimax 200 horse engine. It's got some good information in it, including maintenance, fuel information, general specs, codes for the gauge, and so forth. So that's a good manual. If you want to really get a good manual, get the optional Mercury Shop Service Manual. They cost about the same as an hour's labor and will save you a lot more than that. There's some stuff you can't do, obviously, but there's a lot of stuff and it's got pictures and real good blow-by-blow description of how to work on the boat. So this is a good investment. It's about $100, but it's a really good investment in your boat. So I recommend you buy a Mercury service manual, and it's for the 200 Optimax jet drive. Okay, I want to start with the dash and the controls. Basically, we have a tether cord, which should be attached. It's attached to the dash. It's an emergency shutoff. When you're operating the boat, this should be attached to your life vest or something attached to your body. And that is in the event that you come out of the boat for any reason, the engine stops. So we strongly recommend you always wear your tether cord, attach it to your body. The remote control is a single lever remote control. It's got neutral, forward, and reverse. We prefer this over the dual lever just because it's so much easier to make an emergency maneuver if you need to. What you need to know is that the boat will not start unless it's in neutral. If it's out just a little bit, you'll see me try and start it. The horn comes on, but nothing happens. You have to be in the little neutral. It's a little detent area there, and then the boat will start. Sometimes if you're operating the boat, if you're floating down a river and you need to start real quickly because you're approaching a shallow shelf for a sweeper, you can simply hold the key all the way over and move the control down until you hear it start. That's just a shortcut if you need to use it, but we recommend just putting it in neutral and then starting it. On the key, every time you turn the key to the on position, you'll hear the hot horn chirp, and that's just to let you know the horn is working. Doesn't mean anything's hot. Hot would be indicated if it came on and stayed on solid after you started it. So basically, you just turn the key to the on position. When you do that, it activates the fuel lift pump, so it takes fuel up to the engine, and then you turn the key over. The beauty of these boats is they start so easy. The engines almost always start within a second. If they don't, there's something wrong. It should just turn over and start. No issues of cold starting. There's no primer or choke. It's all fully automated. It senses your atmospheric pressure, your temperature outside, everything, and it will start accordingly. So really nice system there. The boat RPM. This has got the SmartCraft gauge, which comes with the SJX. It's about a $700 or $800 gauge. It's the top of the line. It's got a multitude of features. We'll go through some of them. But basically on the RPM, your boat's going to run at a wide open throttle. It's governed to about 5,500 RPM, right in that range. And so 5,500 it would be considered wide open throttle. Usually faster than you want to go most of the time, both for sightseeing and fuel economy. Your best fuel economy is in the 3,800 to 4,000 RPM range. Typically is going to be roughly 5 to 6 gallons an hour, which is excellent for a boat with this kind of horsepower. I'm going to turn the key on so you can see the gauge, some of the features of the Mercury SmartCraft gauge. You basically have indicators. It says your battery's okay, your temperature is okay, and your water pressure, your PSI is okay. And the bottom of the gauge is a mode switch, and you can click through the switch, and you'll see we're at 12.4 volts with the battery. Push again, we're at 90% fuel remaining, and so we're almost full. Right now, this is indicating a temperature of 39 Fahrenheit, but of course the boat's not in the water. You have a water pressure gauge, and of course the boat's not running. Normally that would be in the 6 to 8 psi range when you're up on step. Lower at idle, of course. Again, this shows both your voltmeter and the total hours on the boat. This boat has 116 hours. It's got your gallons per hour. For sure we're not burning anything right now because the engine's not running, but this is a nice, you can watch what the engine's burning, and this is the total amount of fuel used to date on the boat. And then your digital RPM, which will be equal to your analog RPM gauge, and so you can watch it there. It also has some trolling features. You can set your trolling speed for back trolling or trolling for silvers. You can select your trolling speed by tapping the troll up or troll down button, and it adjusts your RPM idle. Kind of a nice feature for trolling. You also have an analog fuel gauge, which will match with your fuel percentage gauge. These tanks are 40 gallons, so you'll know that when you're at about half a tank, you have about 20 gallons left, but your gauge will confirm that. Before starting the boat, you should always hit the blower, and you'll be able to hear it run. Your blower removes any fuel fumes from the engine compartment. The Coast Guard recommends you run that for 5 minutes before starting. What I like to do is when I arrive at a boat launch, before I even take my tie downs off, I reach in, I hit my blower, and that just saves you from having to wait for the blower to run for 5 minutes. Once you're up on step, your louvers on the back of the engine compartment here, you have an air intake louver on the port side and an air out on the starboard side, and that, as you're up on step, that removes the need to run your blower. So after you're up on step, you can shut the blower off, and the normal air movement going through there will take care of keeping your engine area free of fumes. You have a mechanical bilge pump that comes with the boat, 500 gallons per hour bilge pump. There's also a secondary pressure pump that just lays on the bottom of the bilge, which also pumps water out if you're up on step, so you don't have to run this in a rain. If it's raining or something, it should keep up. We'll go over that when we go back to the engine. You have your navigation lights, which are on the side of the boat, Coast Guard required. Up is for your running lights, the middle is off, and down is for your stern light, which we'll show you that when we're at the back of the boat. That's for if you're anchored up, so other boats know that you're anchored up. It's important to remember to leave this in the middle. These are nice. This is a nice panel because they're lit if the gauge is on. So you want to leave it in the middle. Most of the time, obviously, if you're not running the boat, if you have young kids in the yard, you may want to get a battery selector switch where you can shut the battery off. Otherwise, if they play with the switches and leave that on, come Memorial Day, you're ready to go boating and the battery's dead because the lights have been on for a week. So leave that off. This is your optional wiper switch if you have a windshield wiper. There's an accessory switch if you want to run, running lights or radios or anything. It's all rigged already for running lights. It has a 12-volt power point for charging your cell phone, your camcorder, whatever. So that's right behind the steering wheel there. And then it has a horn, just to let boats know you're approaching or emergency. You can you can hit your horn button. This particular boat has the optional heater, and it won't make heat unless you're at 3,000 RPM or higher, which is basically up on step, but it makes tremendous heat. It has a fan for low, medium, and high, and the vent louvers are up on the dash here. This is your standard heater kit. You can spin it around to face the window, and over on the port side is your optional passenger heater that runs through the cargo box here and up on the other side to keep mama warm. Don't sell many of these to married people that don't opt for the passenger heater kit for obvious reasons. Okay, we are going to continue on now to one of our more recent innovations, which is our helm lever. This operates the rear stomp grate from the helm lever, from the helm position, so that if you ever get any debris in your jet, you don't even have to run to the back and hit the mechanical stomp, the easy clean grate. All you have to do is grab this lever, pull, and it pulls down on the lever, as you'll see, and that cleans the intake out. Very important, you always want to have the key off when activating either the helm lever or pushing on the stomp grate. Just turn it off just for a second or two while you clear the jet, and that way it prevents you maybe ingesting something off the river bottom even at idle. These are incredibly powerful pumps, and it'd be a real shame to ingest more than you already had in there. But these are a wonderful device. Just use it appropriately by turning the key off, clean out, and then starting the boat back up. One other word of caution: if you ever really pack that intake tight, if you jam it, you run aground and you have a lot of rocks in the intake, if you can't operate this with one hand, don't force it with two. Go to the back and step on the grate. You have a lot better leverage from your foot pushing down on the grate from the cable versus the cable pulling down from underneath, and you don't want to bend a cable or break it. So that is pretty much everything up on the dash. We'll move on back to the what powers the boat.